Welcome dudes, I'm back checking out Kagemaru for Disgaea RPG, who is going to be our next and probably only must-have unit of the Etna Resort sort of theme area that's going on Disgaea RPG currently. So let's check her out and show you just how good she is, because she pretty much is a must-have for me, and I'll show you why in a minute. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, please do hit like and subscribe for plenty more Disgaea RPG content. So Kagemaru is an axe unit, the knight type as well, and she is phenomenal. Obviously she's going to have that 15 million attack stat, but in terms of her abilities, what does she bring? So leader 1 is going to be knight type allies basic stats plus 18%. It is only knight type, but 18% is decent enough. You don't need to build her into a full knight team, because this sort of ability is not a be all end all, it's just more of a bonus sort of ability for me. NE +1, this is her main damage dealing ability, so if she's equipped with an axe, single target damage plus 65%. Yes, that does mean that AoE attacks are not complete write-off, but they are sort of pretty nullified and ineffective, because she's not going to be getting her extra damage dealt from them. So for Kagemaru, don't worry too much about getting your AoE moves off. Use maybe your secondary DPS or just other units. She will still be doing some damage for them because she does have a high attack stat, but don't rely on her to be dealing significant AoE damage. I do quite like this next ability, so NE +5 is if there are 3 knight type allies in the party, Kagemaru's attack and defense plus 50%. That's quite a decent boost. Building her around 3 knight type allies, slightly restrictive, but it is fairly easy to do. We do have some good knight units in the game, so supporting her, it shouldn't be too much of an issue for a lot of these units. And for the 2 spare spots, we can always just find some decent support units to fill any gaps those 3 knight types maybe can't do. But then again, you don't even need to build a team with any knight types. Yes, she'll be missing out on 50% attack and defense, but with the amount of buffs we can get these days, you can probably make up for that attack loss. Maybe not the defense loss as much, but that attack loss you can make up for that pretty easily. Now this NE +7 counter-strike signal, it's setting up one of her skills in the name Counter-Strike. It's sort of giving it away. But for herself, when attacked, attack plus 80% for 1 turn. What I'm intrigued about for this one is whether it's going to stack, because she can take multiple hits per turn. I wouldn't like to say yes or no currently, but if it does, it's excellent, and if it doesn't, 80% is still quite a nice boost. Now on to the main event, which are her skills, and she is the first unit to bring in this very cool skill, which is her second one. So first skill is a cheap AoE move, Wind Attributes. It debuffs enemies attack by 10%. You probably won't use this too much, because as I've already mentioned, she's not going to get any extra damage dealt from this move, so it won't be doing too much damage to even on raids, those 2 side units. I doubt it's going to kill them, or just any sort of content. This is not going to be her forte using that move. No, don't do it unless you absolutely have to. But the second skill, Art of Wire Trapping. So for herself, she grants herself the counter stance buff, as well as giving herself an attack boost of 35 up to 45% for 5 turns. Now this counter stance buff is very significant. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see a little note here where it says, as long as she's not dead, she's going to retaliate against enemy that hits her even under active ailments. Essentially, she's going to counterattack any unit that hits her. Now this, for the current meta of the game, might not sound that fantastic, but PvP is coming out imminently. Very, very soon, PvP is coming out, and this counter stance buff is going to be sublime for PvP, especially on those defense teams. If you can build Kagemaru to take a hit from the enemy, she's going to smash them right back. Again, if she's built well in attack as she is in defense, then she's going to be killing enemies with this counter stance buff. And being 5 turns, it's actually really helpful because it's 5 turns. You can do this move once and then you haven't got to worry about doing it anymore, so we can then focus on getting her some SP, some buffs from our other units, and then focus on using her S rank skill, which is next. So water damage, this is her element. So just like Dex, the water DPS, this is where I think there's a little bit of a weakness in Kagemaru's build. So in the wording, if the enemy has an attack debuff, skill power plus 10%, overall the move's still going to hit hard. It's still an S rank hitting move, but getting an enemy to have an attack debuff, unless you have the right units for this, it might get a little bit troublesome. So you're going to have to build a unit into your team to specifically have an attack debuff. Even though Kagemaru can proc this herself, you probably don't want to do that. You probably want to use her other attacks or her self-buffing skill, or even the actual S rank skill itself. So we now need to think of the units which can bring attack debuffs to the enemy. Luckily for us, recently over the past couple of months, mostly this month, we've had quite a few decent amount of units that can actually do this. So start off, the best one is Calamity Adele. He is a fantastic primary DPS, but he can also be a fantastic secondary DPS. He has a skill which debuffs the enemy's stats, so all stats, attack, defense, intelligence, resistance, and even speed. So Calamity Adele doing that move is going to help prop the extra skill damage from Kagemaru. But if you don't have Calamity Adele, what other recent units can do it? So recently, current event, you've got Kiki and Wise. Previous event, so Makai Kingdom, Seedle, he can do it. Might not be an optimal unit to do it, but he could serve as a decent secondary DPS. We also have Tyrant Overlord Etna. She has her skill, which is an AoE move, which debuffs enemies' attack, so could work out nicely. Again, as a secondary DPS, but might not be the most ideal solution. My favourite alternative unit, other than Calamity Adele, is Pram. So Pram, when she's holding her manacles, which was her unique gear, which affected the amount of debuff the enemy had, she can debuff the enemy's attack as well as all their other stats. She is just a different version of Calamity Adele, but a bit less of a DPS unit. So Pram or Calamity Adele would be the ideal ones, but the other units I've mentioned, they can do it. And there are older units as well, which will have Mega on Feeble, but some do obviously have skills which can reduce the enemy's attack as well, so look out for them. So Killias are training. How is this going to affect the actual skills themselves? So Senpu Kunai, which is that cheap AoE move, is going to get a power up, which it's going to desperately need because it's going to be underpowered. Art of Wire Trapping, which is the counter stance skill, it's saying welcome to strengthen the power, which I'm assuming means it's going to hit a bit harder on the counter attack, because usually it would say a percentage if, say, the buff was going from, which is 35 up to 45, so if the buff was changing there, it would say probably up 5%, which it's not doing. It's saying welcome to strengthen the power, so I'm assuming that means it's going to hit a bit harder when she counterattacks. And for the S rank skill, SP -5, so the cost of that is going to be down from 58 down to 53, so 53 costing, pretty decent. Should be able to get that off no problem most turns with enough SP generators in the team. And what skills does she have? I'm going to say these skills are worthless. I would not bother about putting mana potions into her staff weapon mastery. It's not necessary. If you do want to go up to a minimum, go up to a minimum of 9 to get on Feeble, so that you can self-prop with that attack debuff. If you don't want to use the AoE move, because it'll be cheaper, because it's only 3 SP, giving you more SP. If you do desperately need it for the S rank skill, and using the AoE moves can use up too much SP, then use this on Feeble move instead. But ideally, get someone on the team that can do that for you. I would not worry about going past 9 at all. Speed down, Mega Stun, Mega on Feeble, and Mega Speed down. Very unnecessary, especially on Kagemaru, just not needed at all. But overall, Kagemaru, PvP Queen. In terms of an attacking unit on your team, she'll be smashing up units with her S rank skill, and in terms of your defense team, she'll be doing this counter attack skill, which will be amazing for her and your team, and can hopefully push you up quite high in the ranks. Because if you didn't know about PvP, when you lose a battle from your defense team, you lose some points as well. So it's going to be ideal to set up a decent defense team. But I will talk about that more in detail in another video. The illness has finally gone, so I can actually talk without getting out of breath, which was awkward for making videos before, but now I'm back. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. Please do hit like, and if you aren't already, do subscribe to the channel for me, and I will see you all again very soon for the Madoka Magica collaboration and checking out all those awesome units. So thanks for watching, bye.